So, Dave.
Yes.
What's going on with your knee?
I think in technical medical terms, it's old man's disease. Literally 2 weeks ago, woke up, couldn't walk.
What did you do?
No idea. None, zero. Didn't slip, didn't trip and fall, nothing. Finally got to the ortho today, and he said, you ran the marathon like 3 weeks ago? And I said, yeah, it's been about a month now. And he said, yeah, he's like, marathon injuries can happen up to like 6 weeks afterward during the healing process. I was like, oh, great.
I thought it was going to be like, no, you shouldn't have done that.
No, he's run like 20 marathons, so.
So he's in the know.
Yeah, so it's a fucking pain in the ass. It's my meniscus, which is super pain in the ass. I already had surgery on my left meniscus, and
I think that's technically a pain in the knee.
But
Sorry.
Evan, how long have you been waiting to say that?
To use medical terms.
To use medical. Okay, that one I buy. Hey, welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about the spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Dave Riedel. I write for Salt Lake City, Orlando Weekly, and I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
My name is Evan Crean. I am editor for The Independent. I am co-chair of BOFCA and co-author of your 80s movie guide to better living.
And I'm Megan Kearns. I'm a freelance writer, editor of Bitch Flix, and a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association as well.
Okay, so before we get into the show, let me just tell you which movies we're covering this week real quick. Knives and Skin, Queen and Slim, those are two different movies. One has an and, one has an ampersand, so you know they're different. And then Atlantics. But I want to, because your names, last names, are spelled similarly-ish.
Oh, yeah.
Evan, in the Evan world,
yes,
how do you pronounce your last name?
I say Korean, but that's not technically the correct pronunciation.
Okay, and Megan, you say Kearns.
Kearns, which
like Joanna Kearns, except it has an A in it.
Correct, but I will tell you.
Do people say Kearns?
I get my first name mispronounced. I get my last name.
First name?
Oh God, my entire life.
What, Megan?
Megan was a big one in Connecticut. Megan, yeah.
But it's M-E-G.
I know. Welcome to my world. But yeah, it's weird. I've never understood it. And when I moved to Boston, everyone pronounced it correctly. I was like, thank God, finally. But yeah, no, Kearns, Carnes. Yeah, I've had my name mispronounced. And one of our dear friends mispronounces my last name all the time because of Evan's last name.
I see.
So now I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
maybe you're the problem and the solution.
Well, I just want to say to both of you, try living with my fucking last name.
Righto.
Like Rydell High.
Sorry.
See, that's the one that pisses me off the most. I know, and we've talked about this before. It's like Rydell High isn't even spelled the same way.
It's completely different.
It's so different. It's not the same as the fucking helmets. It's not. I mean,
people really don't know that it's Riedel?
No. No one apparently. So I have a friend whose last name is Kiefer. The same, it's K-I-E, and I'm R-I-E. Riedel, Kiefer. No one has ever mispronounced his name ever, ever. No one ever says Kiefer. Is your name Kiefer? No.
Kiefer.
But and here's the thing that's really crazy is you spell it for people and they still spell it wrong back to you.
Jeez.
I'll say R-I, and I break it up into 3 sections because if you say R-I-E, everyone doesn't hear the I or the E.
Yep, exactly.
So you say R-I-E-D-E-L. And then there'll be R-I-D, and you're like, oh, you motherfucker.
You failed. You failed already.
So anyway, let's talk about some movies. Let's talk about Atlantics.
All right.
Atlantics. So this movie Atlantics. I hear it's a Senegalese French movie.
I'm thrown by your...
Certainly not a movie about Jersey.
No,
nah.
I'm thrown by your Jersey Bronx.
Nobody has that accent, the one that I'm using, by the way. Like, no one.
I'm like, it's this weird amalgam.
Yeah.
But yes, so...
I'm sorry. We're going to wait for Megan to collect herself. Megan, I'm sorry.
No, don't ever...
No.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I mean, they even said it's the nutmeg state, for Christ's sake.
I know.
It's in the fucking state.
Thank you. I know. It's ridiculous.
Nutmeg.
Introducing nutmeg and curds.
That I kind of dig. Yeah, I mean, this is also the same place where I was told I had by principals and teachers that I had an accent, even though I'm from Connecticut.
there?
Yeah, I'm from there. Never mind. I don't get it. But anyway, it's weird. It's a weird. Evan can attest to that. He's from Connecticut. It's weird.
You know, it is the armpit of New England, so don't forget that.
That's what a city that shall remain nameless in Connecticut is called, the armpit of Connecticut.
Ah.
Mm.
I don't want to say because I don't want to shit all over that city or town or whatever it may be.
Bradford.
No.
This is the first one I thought of.
I know, nice. But back
to Atlantics.
Back to Atlantics. So Atlantics is now playing on Netflix, and it made quite a splash at Cannes. And Maddie Diop, who is the director, she is a woman of color, and she became the first woman of color to win. I don't know if I can't remember the prize that this won. That's terrible. I should know. But she became the first woman of color to win a prize at Cannes. And this film is a Senegalese film. And it is about a woman and a young woman. Actually, she's not even a woman. She's a girl. She's a teenager. And it's about her and her boyfriend. And her boyfriend works with other men on this skyscraper project that's being constructed. And they're not getting paid. They haven't been paid for like 3 or 4 months. And they're demanding their
bullshit.
Pay. It is bullshit. And they're demanding their pay from the foreman, and they're not given it. And so then it follows him as he's spending time with his girlfriend. And then the film follows her, and you find out that she's engaged to be married in 10 days.
What? Whoa.
Yeah, in an arranged marriage because she's Muslim. Right. Yes.
That makes more sense.
It does, yes. And so that happens. And then she's supposed to meet up with her boyfriend, not the arranged husband, and not her fiance to be. And her boyfriend disappears. And he's gone off in a boat with all his friends and doesn't come back.
But did the friends come back?
No, none of them do. They're all missing. And the film goes from there. And it's basically about how they're missing, and there's a police investigation because at her wedding, which happens 10 days later, there's a fire. And there's a fire on the wedding bed. And only on the wedding bed. And it's like this pristine room. It's all white. And
sounds like Murder by Death.
I was just thinking that. Well, at least the bed will be warm.
Yeah.
Yes. Nice callback. So that's why patrons, or if you're not, you should become a patron if you're not a patron. And then you can listen to the great content about Murder by Death. Nice little plug. Yeah, so the wedding bed is white, and then it's destroyed, and there's like a hole in it, and it's like all black with ashes. And there's a police detective who starts investigating, and he accuses the girl of being an accomplice to arson. And he's like, your boyfriend did this, and you helped him out. And she's like, I don't know where he is, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Does the detective ever say, j'accuse?
No, I wish. He does speak French. So in the film, yes, they speak Wolof, which is one of the Senegalese languages. But yeah, he speaks French, and he does not say j'accuse.
That's a bummer.
It's a missed opportunity.
C'est dommage.
Quel dommage. Oh, c'est vrai.
Mais oui. But
mais oui. Oh, yes.
Yeah. But so then strange things start happening, and you see
sacre bleu.
Indeed. And then you see these girls show up. They look like they're sleepwalking, and they show up at the rich guy's house who owns the skyscraper, demanding money, and they have white eyes, and you're like, what the hell's happening?
Creepy.
And what's happening is that they're ghosts who are possessing bodies to try to get the money that this dude owes.
Wait a minute.
The
that
workers.
owes dead people?
Yes, that owes the workers who were on the boat who went off, because the boat, as you find out later, it crashed and sank, and there were no survivors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and then
Atlantics.
Yes, Atlantics in your great accent. But yeah, and it's all about how she keeps getting weird. And before you find out that there are no survivors, she does not know this, but she has like a vision that her boyfriend's body was dead and in like a fishing boat, and like strange things start happening. Like she gets a weird text from
good.
him. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very slow. But it's not great special effects, which is fine, but it's interesting, and it's interesting in how it's doing this supernatural kind of mystery, but it's also looking at the economic disparity in this country, which is interesting. It's also looking at arranged marriages, because she then she kind of seems like she's bolstered by her missing boyfriend to then rebel against her husband, who's being creepy and like trying to boss her around. And she's like, you
don't own me.
Exactly. She's like, you're not the boss of me. You don't own me. And he's like, well, we're married. And she's like, I'm not your wife, even though they actually are married. Yeah. And she like runs off, and it's great. And yeah, so it's interesting how this kind of fuels her independence. And then there's a very interesting reunion at the end. Yeah, so...
Excuse me, Megan. This is spoiler piece. So please, spoiler piece it for us.
Spoiler away. But yeah, so at the end, there's this great scene where... So the police detective has become possessed by the spirit of her dead boyfriend.
Ooh.
And he shows up.
That's a plot twist.
Mm-hmm. And he shows up, and then you see her dead boyfriend in the reflection of the mirror, that it is her boyfriend.
Oh boy.
So there's this great scene. There's this great scene where they're like embracing and they're dancing, and you only see it through the mirror. And then and it's at a bar. So you see these like club lights, like of green dots, like dancing over their bodies. It's just beautiful. It's this really cool, beautiful visual.
It's kind of like in Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze, but it's actually Whoopi Goldberg possessed by Patrick Swayze. Ah, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like that at all, but I just thought it was kind of funny because it's sort of the same idea applied for very different purposes.
Very different, yes. Yeah, and so that's pretty much the film, and it's basically about that. And I'm very curious to see where this director goes. Like, I'd love to see what her next film is going to be. I'm intrigued. I would hope that her future films also kind of invoke this political commentary and social commentary that is in this first film.
Well, it sounds like I said, it sounds like the story to me is like right up my alley. So you said it was a Netflix movie, right?
Yes, it's distributed by Netflix.
So did you watch it on Netflix, or did you watch the screener that we got as film critics?
I actually did watch it on Netflix because I was too lazy to put the DVD in.
So when you watched it on Netflix, did it autoplay in its original language, or did it play in English?
It could be the way I have my settings set up, but for me, it auto-played in Wolof and in French.
Interesting. Yeah. I have to test this because whenever there's a trailer for a movie that's not in English, it's always the dubbed version that plays, and I have to go and select whatever the original language is. And I wonder if it does that on the movies themselves, so I've got to Atlantics will be my first choice.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, I'm very curious what you guys think. So this film has so much buzz around it, and it was much slower than I was anticipating, which is not a bad thing.
I love me some slow movies.
There you go. Then you might love this too. But yeah, it takes its time. There's no rush. There's not a sense of urgency, which is okay. But yeah, I was along for the ride, and I was glad to see it.
Cool.
I was just looking at the tagline. It says, "Every love story is a ghost story."
Oh, that's intense.
I mean,
makes my skin crawl.
I might buy that. I might buy that. The ghosts of everybody in your past, blah blah. Okay.
Yeah, and when they are reunited, there's another beautiful scene where her dead boyfriend is talking about the moment of his death and how he was thinking about her, and he's like, because the boat was like hit by a wave, and that's how they died, because a wave crushed them. And he talks about how in the wave he saw her eyes, and he's like, "You were watching me the whole time." And it's just this kind of haunting, eerie,
sort of poetic and ethereal, and sad, but also beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very poetic film.
Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know if it's poetic, but let's move on to Queen and Slim.
Yes.
Because I wanted to say the poetic Queen and Slim, but I haven't seen it, so I can't say that.
You can't comment on it.
Nay, but I will, because what else do I do?
I want to say it, so I will. To borrow from Gary Goldman's playbook. I want to say it was 1973, so I will.
Okay, Goldman, nice. Queen and Slim is the feature directorial debut of Melina Matsoukas, and I am a huge fan of her work. She got her start in music video directing. She did Beyonce's Formation, which is an incredible piece.
That is a good piece.
Oh, it's so good. She did Pretty Hurts, which is another beautiful video. She did she's done Rihanna videos, Christina Aguilera. She's done a ton of videos.
Did she do the Rihanna? Oh, I'm sorry. Did she do the Rihanna video where Rihanna shoots and kills her boyfriend? Because that would be awesome.
Oh, damn it. I can't remember.
Well, I can't. Yeah. That was like, for you to know that would have been like, you would have had that filed away.
Yeah.
Sorry for putting you on the spot there.
That's okay. Yeah, I was like, I know the Beyonce ones because I love Beyonce and I love those videos and all her videos are amazing. But yeah, her music videos are really spectacular. And I love her work on Insecure. It's a great.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love Insecure. That's
Love
such a great
Insecure.
show that
It
not enough people are
is.
watching.
I completely agree.
I'm always shocked because there's so many people that watch HBO shows.
Right.
And when I bring it up, I'm just shocked that more people don't watch it because I think it's got one more season coming up.
It does, yeah.
And it's always consistently funny, and it just really
Yes.
digs deep to some places that you don't always expect comedies to get to.
I agree. I always find it really heartbreaking, but
Oh,
in a
totally.
very realistic, grounded way. Yeah. And the visuals are stunning. So
Yeah.
gorgeous. And the fusion of music with the visuals is just incredible. And that I really feel like that's what she excels at so well. So this film, not a surprise, has great visuals and a killer soundtrack, and the weaving of the music and visuals is really great. So the premise of and Lena Waithe wrote this, which is great because Lena Waithe is an amazing writer, has worked on Master of None.
Yeah.
Was
Also, Melina Matsoukas. Is that how you say her name?
Melina Matsoukas.
Matsoukas
Yeah.
also has worked on Master of None.
Yep, she did. And so I was super excited to see this. And the premise of the film is that Jodie Turner-Smith and Daniel Kaluuya, who is always great.
I like him.
Oh, he's so great. And Jodie Turner-Smith is great in this too, and I can't wait. Like, she's done a lot of TV work, and I can't wait to see her in more films because she's really great too. So the two of them are on their first date.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah,
I'm looking at the
yes.
credits as you say this.
Yes.
Sturgill Simpson plays a cop? That's so weird. Anyway. I beg your pardon. I mean, that just
No worries.
strikes me as very, very strange.
So the premise of this is that they're on a date. They're on their very first date that they met through Tinder. And very quickly after their date, they're driving and they get pulled over by a cop, and it's a white cop, and he's being really racist right out of the gate. Clearly, like, he's telling him to get out of the car.
Yeah.
He's saying, I need to search your trunk. And she's a lawyer, and you find this out on their date, and she's like shouting at the window, and she's like honking the horn. She's shouting at the window. She's like, you need a warrant. What are you doing? And the cop is just getting more and more agitated. And then Daniel Kaluuya says, it's really cold outside. Do you know how much longer this is going to be? And the cop like flips out, pulls a gun on him. Jodie Turner-Smith gets out of the car. He pulls the gun on her. And then the cop shoots Jodie Turner-Smith, who's Queen. That's her nickname in the film. So he shoots Queen in the leg, and then Daniel Kaluuya, his nickname is Slim in the film, and he like tackles the cop, and they struggle, and it's this incredibly horrific, intense
Holy
scene.
shit.
Yeah, and then Daniel Kaluuya grabs the gun and shoots him. And
Oh
he's dead.
my God.
Whoa.
Well,
Yeah.
I am watching this movie like a motherfucker.
Is it one of
Yeah.
those situations where they're struggling and the shooting happens?
No,
Or is it he
no.
turns the gun on the cop
So-
and is like,
So the gun, so they're struggling for a while. Like, the cop is sitting on top of him, and then the gun somehow gets away. Daniel Kaluuya crawls for the gun, grabs it, turns around, and shoots him. Like, he makes an
Whoa.
intentional decision to shoot him. It's not an accident. And it's horrifying. Not that he shot him, but just the struggle and the racism of being pulled over. All of that is what's horrifying. And so then she decides, okay, that's it. We're leaving his body. We're going on the run. And he's like, no, we can't leave his body. And she's like, no, we're leaving his body. We're going.
She's like, I'm a lawyer.
Like,
trust me.
She's like, we're getting the
I've
fuck out of
seen
here.
this play out. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, we're getting the fuck out of here. And so then they go on the run, and as the credits, like not the credits, but the title card is coming on.
This happens before the opening credits?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
This is like in the first like 10 minutes. Yeah. So
I respect a movie that gets right to the action and doesn't,
yeah.
you know, mess around.
No bullshit.
No, it gets right to it. So, and as the title card is coming up, you hear their voices. You don't see them, but you hear them, and they're arguing about what to do. And one of them says, we're in this together. And that comes up later on, this theme of that they're in this together, that they're a team. And so the whole film, it's basically a road trip movie, and it's them going from place to place. Like first they decide to go to New Orleans where her uncle lives, and then they're going to go to Georgia where someone can help them that her uncle recommends, and then they're going to go to Florida. So it's basically them traveling, trying to stay one step ahead of the police and to trying to escape. And it's very clear that this is Bonnie and Clyde film, and even within the film, her uncle, who's played by Bokeem Woodbine.
Oh, I love him.
Well, he has an interesting role in this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting that his role is interesting. I'm such an idiot. Continue.
Cut away.
That went nowhere.
Abort. But, so he even mentions, he calls them the Black Bonnie and Clyde. And that's very clearly what this is paying homage to. But what's interesting is that in Bonnie and Clyde, there's obviously commentary on poverty and, and armed robberies and violence and media and, and making, celebrity icons out of criminals. And in this, there is making icons out of, criminals, arguably criminals in quotes here too. But it's also clearly, I mean, obviously right from the premise, it is a commentary on white supremacy and racist police brutality against Black people. And there are infusions throughout the entire film about Black culture. Like there are conversations that they have about Luther Vandross and the film Love Jones and Assata Shakur, the activist. And interestingly, I see I'm using interestingly a lot. Queen's uncle, Bokeem Woodbine, he mentions Assata Shakur and how she went to Cuba because Daniel Kaluuya says he wants to get away to Cuba and that's where they should escape to. And that's a very intentional comment because Melina Matsoukas is an Afro-Latina and her mother's from Cuba, and Assata Shakur is an idol of hers. And so she said in an interview with Remezcla that she wanted to mirror the journey to Cuba that Assata Shakur had with these two characters going to Cuba. And she also talks about how this film is about the African diaspora and how, Jodie Turner-Smith is from Jamaica and Daniel Kaluuya is Ugandan and she's, Afro-Cuban, but it's all about, white people essentially colonizing these places and scattering African people. So there's such a strong activist bent throughout this film, which is great. And so as the film goes on, when we come to Bokeem Woodbine, there's something that does bother me about this though, and that's why I say he's an interesting character, because he's a pimp and he has sex workers in his house, and he hits one of his sex workers and nobody stops him. She sees her uncle do this and she's like, oh, he didn't used to be this way. But then she goes to bed, and Daniel Kaluuya even says, he's like, should I go say something? And it's shot down. And then later on in the film, you find out that he killed her mother.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
Whoa.
that she defended him. She defended him so he wouldn't go to prison, or so he got out of prison. And Daniel Kaluuya asks her, he's like, how do you defend the person who killed your mother? And she's like, well, he pushed her down a flight of stairs because they were arguing and it was an accident. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The normalization of domestic violence is just, there's something that just incredibly bothered me about this film.
Well, that is a commentary probably on the normalization of, don't you think?
So I I struggled with that. I did, because I was like,
I haven't seen it.
very fair, but it's a great question. I struggled with that because that's what I thought she was saying. Like, is she talking about the insidiousness of domestic violence? And perhaps, very, very possibly, but it doesn't, for me, it failed here. It didn't feel like it's a stark enough commentary. It for me, it fell flat, and it very well could be because of my own personal experiences, and I will be the first to say that it could be why it fell flat for me. But what's more to your point, Dave, is what's so interesting is that there's a scene later on, kind of talking about violence, but not domestic violence. There's a scene where the two of them have sex, and it's this incredibly intense, long sex scene, and in the midst of it, intercut throughout, is a protest that's happening, and it's a protest in support of them, and it's very evocative of Ferguson and Black Lives Matter, because there's a police barricade, and they're wearing riot gear, and people are demanding for them to be free, and so that, and it's getting violent with the cops, and the cops being violent, and so that violent scene is juxtaposed with this sex scene, and it's so fascinating. And to me, it was showcasing not the kind of commingling of sex and violence, which happens unfortunately too often in media, but rather for me, what it seemed to be showcasing is a celebration of Black life and Black joy, and how Black people are continuously surrounded by violence and racism and police brutality, and they have to essentially seize joy where they can. And I thought it was such an interesting visual and such an interesting way to edit it and to put this on display. And I say this fully as a white person, but that's what it seemed like to me. So I really enjoyed, and maybe not enjoyed, but appreciated that this sex scene is happening in the way that it did alongside the protesting. It was really riveting.
It sounds really good. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
If nothing else, it sounds like something that is fucking different and bold and worth seeing.
Yeah, it's very thought-provoking. I mean, there are small... It's a very long film. It's over 2 hours. I felt like it could have probably benefited more if it was a little bit shorter, a little tighter. But I feel that way about a lot of films.
I feel that way about every film.
Yeah, but there are these little moments that are great. Like they're driving through the South, and Daniel Kaluuya makes a comment, and he's like, "Oh, it's such beautiful country here." And there's, the way it's shot and the way it's framed, it's beautiful landscapes, and it's gorgeous. But as they're driving by, they see Black men who are incarcerated, who are doing work on the side of the road. And she's like, "Oh, is it?" And it's such a quick comment on, the quote, I'm going to use it in quotes, criminal justice system, but really it's the prison industrial complex. And it's such a brief passing commentary on that. So again, back to the point about the domestic violence, it probably is a commentary on that. And even though I was unsettled by it, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe not for me personally, but for other people, maybe that's a good thing if they are unsettled by it, because it'll get them thinking more. But yeah, it's also interesting that speaking back to that, one of the sex workers is an actor who's a trans non-binary actor, who's known from their work on Pose. And it was great to see them here. So it's so clear that Melina Matsoukas has such a clear vision of what she wants to do and the story she wants to tell, and how her own personal history and activism through her art and work are just coming here on screen. And it's great to see.
Well, you have sold me on it.
Yay.
Like legit, not even I'll get around to it. No, I'm going to see it.
Yeah. There's a lot of, the last few years, there's been a lot of really great films in Black cinema addressing these themes of police brutality and racism, police brutality. I'm thinking back to last year, The Hate U Give, Monsters and Men.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of this year, this film, Queen and Slim, Black and Blue. There's just a lot of really great films out there addressing this topic, and I'm sad that more people aren't seeing them.
Well, I think people are. I think not enough white people are seeing
Not enough
them.
yes.
Yes. And I think that's the thing. And I think that speaks to how white people, unfortunately, won't go see enough black film. And even that, the conversation of what is black film? Is it certain topics? Is it, when there's a cast that's predominantly black, like what is that? But also there are not enough black film critics and not enough people of color film critics. And we need more inclusivity and diversity in that as well. But yeah, I'm so glad that you're saying that, Evan, because I think that's so important, that I think we as white people need to be seeing more films by people of color and make it a point to see, other perspectives and other identities.
And not just the awards pictures or the prestige stuff or the high art. It's, it's all kinds of films that we need to see.
Exactly. Well, and that, and that's the thing too, because oftentimes the things that are nominated for awards are slave pictures. And I mean, and not that we shouldn't be telling those stories, but that shouldn't be the only roles that we see black people in that we're awarding their work for, as like maids and nannies and slaves.
Right,
like
the help or
exactly.
widows, which, you've got oppressed women in that.
But we need to, that's the thing. We need to see more, people of color, and specifically since we're talking about, a black film, we need to see more black people in a range of their stories and roles. And yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good spot. As they would say on CNN, we're going to leave it there. You have something else, though?
I do. Evan, when you were listing all the films about police brutality, the one that does not get enough love because this did not get a wide distribution. Actually, I don't even know if this got.
You're going to say My Name is Maisha?
I am.
Yes.
Oh, My Name is Maisha is one of the best films I've seen in such a long time about,
it is.
Period. And I know you saw it too, and it's about police brutality, and it's avant-garde and experimental, and it's beautiful, and it's just incredible. And I'm so disappointed it didn't get wide distribution, because it's a stunning piece of art and cinema. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was saying last year you could have definitely done a double feature of that and Hate U Give or other, or Monsters of Men. I think any of those films would have gone well together as like a double feature.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Food for thought, as we would say in the Bronx. So, no, I'm sorry. I intentionally mispronounce words. So, because Bugs Bunny did, and he is my role model. So, yeah, that's right. So the last movie on the Loosed tonight is, oh boy.
Knives and Skin.
Knives and Skin.
Ooh, in unison.
Yeah. I think our opinions are in unison on this one, too.
Yeah. I mean, I almost didn't finish it to give you an indication.
I didn't finish it.
Yeah, and if
not because I didn't want to, I just ran out of time.
I don't want to pigeonhole anybody on this panel, but if there was one person who was going to watch this all the way through,
yeah, I know.
I would have thought it would have been you. I'm talking to Megan when I say that.
Yes, of course. But yes, because I'm the one who also said we should watch this.
You were, yes.
Well, this played at the Boston Women's Film Fest. It's a, woman-written, woman-directed film. This is her another directorial debut. Actually, I have to say, this entire show, the 3 films are all women written, women directed in their directorial debuts.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I see now. Okay, hold on. I thought Knives and Skin was Jennifer Reeder's second feature.
Am I wrong?
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think this is her feature film debut.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay, well, we can look that up while...
Oh, she also made Signature Move in 2017.
But was it a short film or was it a...
No, I think it might be... Is it a... No, it looks like a regular...
80 minutes. That counts as a feature.
That does count. Okay, well then it's not her directorial debut.
Yeah.
I
But
lied.
Still, they're all films written and directed by women.
I mean, it kind of feels like a directorial debut and not in a good way. Okay.
Yeah. This felt
Actually, that's not true. It doesn't... It feels...
Well...
Hold on.
Back it up.
Now, this is one of those movies where you've got 45 minutes of story stretched out to 2 hours, but with the sensibility of I don't want to say David Lynch because it's not Lynchian.
But that's all I got while watching it, is that clearly someone is obsessed with David Lynch. Specifically
and kind of
Twin
like
Peaks.
got stuck on the. And I also want to throw out. I've only seen a couple episodes of this, and the only reason I've seen it is, although it's kind of maybe the kind of show I would watch, but Riverdale kind of reminded me of Riverdale a little bit, just in the sort of moodiness and the and the fucking vibrant colors.
The colors are beautiful in this film.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, there is unfortunately some really shoddy special effects work, which that's a budget limitation. Fine.
That wasn't even the part that annoyed me about this movie.
No. I mean, I don't want to say that it's just bad. I mean, it's a bad movie.
It's not good.
I'm so sad
I was
to
gonna
say that, but
I felt like it was just barely a notch above student film, mainly in like the plot dialogue department. I think aesthetically it looked really good. It had such cool color
really
palettes,
Mm-hmm.
and
I think
I wanted to like this so much more than I did.
I think that when you're
Same.
directing a movie that is so intentionally paced as this is, you've got to vary up the performances are all so one note.
No, absolutely.
I mean, and this might be part of the point. I don't know, but all of the male characters are completely interchangeable, and that's on purpose.
Yes.
But all of the female characters are completely interchangeable, and I don't think that's on purpose. I think that's a limitation of the acting and the directing.
The only one I would say is not
Ooh,
interchangeable
I want to know. I think I
is Carolyn's mother.
Oh no, I was not gonna say. She's all right.
Oh no! I didn't say she was good.
Oh
No, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying I feel she's different.
yeah, I'll buy that. What I was going to say is there was one performance that I did appreciate, and that was Joanna, who is played by Grace Smith. She was the one who always ironed on the letters to her shirts.
Oh,
Like
she had
yes.
all the feminist T-shirts like Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc, Yoko Ono.
She's also reading the history of suffrage in Ohio.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just some weird plot element. Like it sounds on paper like it's gonna be really awesome. Like the one sentence plot summary is a mystical teen noir that follows a young girl's disappearance in a rural Midwest town and its effect on teens and parents.
Yeah, you
Sounds
can see
good
why,
on paper.
You can see why I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Sounds good on paper. In practice, it's just too out there for me. It's just
not
so...
even it's too out there. It's out there. It is too out there, but it's too out there in place of substance.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is now. There are people who would disagree about this until the day is long, but whether we understand him or not, David Lynch always has something to say. Now.
Well, he also elicits incredible acting performances.
Yes, he does. I mean, you will have people argue over what Lost Highway means until the end of time.
And
I actually think it's a commentary on misogyny, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, people debate what Mulholland Drive is about, and they will be debating that forever as well.
Yeah, I actually think that Mulholland Drive is one of the ones that's, if not easy, I don't want to use the word easier, but is a lot more linear than people think it is. But anyway.
But that's a debate too.
Yeah.
Because there are people who will tell you it's not.
I just remember the DVD inside the jacket was a little sheet that said David Lynch's tips to understanding this movie.
Yeah. But anyway, we should get back to Knives and Skin. I mean, I felt like this is a movie where there were, I like being unusual, or for lack of a better word, weird, whatever, for the sake of it. I appreciate it. You're like, I'm just going to wear my left shoe in my right foot and my right shoe in my left foot. And that's
Right.
just a stupid example.
And the girl's mother, the girl who disappears, her mother is, wearing her clothes and just doing...
But she was wearing her clothes before she disappeared.
Yeah.
She
True.
started putting on...
Walking around the house with a kitchen knife. Fucking.
So I have to say, the thing I loved about this film is that I do love that opening, because it looks like it's going to be a slasher film, and the
Right.
mother's just trying to jimmy the lock to get into the room, and
with
I'm like,
a butcher knife.
yeah, and I'm like, ooh, this is subverting some expectations, and
Yeah.
then it goes
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, and the other thing that happened is, so the young woman who disappears, she dies from a head wound, and then you say later, here's your spoiler.
I actually already knew that. So
Well, right. No, we know she dies from a head wound,
Yes.
but they figure out that she also suffered from heart failure.
Yeah, she had a heart
Oh.
condition.
She had an undiagnosed heart condition. So that would explain why she tripped and fell and
then
had
bled
a
out, I guess.
strangely horrific
Gash on her
head for a fall that seemed not so bad.
No, it seemed pretty minor.
Seemed like it's the kind of fall that, like, if your shoelaces come untied and you tripped, it's that kind of fall. And it was on gravel. Gravel, little tiny rocks, not the big fucking boulders with the jagged edges.
Yeah, like the girl who gets tripped by the asshole with her guitar and falls.
Oh, and
that
then
kind
she
of a
had
fall.
like gash all in her mouth
like
and
bloody
her teeth.
mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You expect that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I appreciated the section when the cheerleader says to her boyfriend, "You treat women like shit. You treat girls like shit." She says that like 3 or 4 times, and then she gives him back her letter jacket, and she's written on the back of it, "I treat women like shit."
He does. He's a fucking asshole.
such a
Of course, no, I'm
He's
not.
like no, I know.
He's terrible.
Yeah, he is.
He's like
literally
an almost rapist.
is the worst.
He's
I
nasty
also-
to his girlfriend. He cheats on her. Yeah, he's horrible.
I also appreciate how the cut on his forehead that the girl who dies gives him
Keeps getting worse.
keeps getting worse and worse and worse over the course of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is, shades of young Sherlock Holmes. But
Ooh, young Sherlock Holmes.
but it's just a lot of style without a lot to I mean, you can kind of, once you figure out the movie's gimmick, which is nothing is as it seems, it's kind of like, well, I kind of know where this is going now, but I know it's going to go slowly.
You would
know?
think that I would like this movie because of all the 80s songs sung a cappella.
That
But I
really
did not-
irritated the shit out
I
of me.
did not like that
I
either.
actually did like that.
Yeah. Well, when they're singing the first one, and I'm like, oh my God, is this the Go-Go's? And it was.
It was the Go-Go's.
Yep.
And, Our Lips Are Sealed. Fine. I like that song. Nice little bass line. But,
catchy song.
Yeah. But then it happens over and over. Oh, and this is the point I was going to make earlier. And of course, I circled around myself and did something stupid. So when they're going out to search for Carolyn, that's the dead student's name. They're going out to search for her like they do those searches you always see in every movie where someone disappears, where they're all lined up like 20 across,
And
going through
Tommy
the
Lee
fucking...
Jones is like, look in every outhouse, doghouse.
Yeah, exactly. Within 15 square miles. Okay, so there's a guy giving instructions, and he's like, okay, so if you need help, yell, "I've got a cut on..." And I'm making these up,
Right,
but
it's
they're
just
just as
absurd
random and
instructions.
stupid. "I've got a cut on my foot, and it's bleeding. And if you don't need help, say, "I need paper delivered to my house." And if you find Carolyn, say, "Girls just want to have fun," which is the one I remember.
That's
And
the
it's
one I
like-
remember too.
And it's like, what is this fucking ridiculous shit? This is one of those places where it's like, you're trying to say something. What? It's so obtuse in that instance. It's just like, come on, man. Give me something.
But that's the thing. I think that she has a lot to say. She's clearly has a lot to say about misogyny. She's talking about
That's all very clear.
right.
There's
but wait,
clear
I'm not done.
elements
Okay.
in
I'm
here.
not done. I'm not done.
All right.
She clearly has things to say about, queer romances. She clearly has things to say about feminism. But they're not, but it's nothing beyond the surface level.
Right.
And there's nothing that's woven throughout the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get over the bad acting. I just can't get beyond
the acting
It's
is
so horrible.
the bad
Is-
acting.
Well-
And at first, it's so bad. I'm like, is this intentional? I'm asking, is everyone bad for a reason? But no, it's just bad. And
Yeah.
so I think she does have things to say, but either she doesn't know how to say it or doesn't delve deeply enough. Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I don't remember. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there's
much, I
just
don't think.
also just weird, uncomfortable scenes
Oh,
in this movie.
Oh
like when the
my
mom
God.
is furiously masturbating in her daughter's bedroom.
Or when
Furiously.
the clown is going down on the fake pregnant mom.
Yeah.
And then she goes down on him later.
Yeah.
Or when, speaking of, after
And she
the
seems like she's
masturbation
really
scene,
not enjoying it also, by the way.
No, she's
Yeah.
clearly not. And the mom also decides to make out and have sex with the boyfriend, or not the boyfriend, but
the guy with the cut on his
the
head.
asshole dude with the cut. Yeah.
Oh, this is what I was going to say.
And she smells him so she can smell her daughter. Yeah, it's also weird.
I was going to say that the sound design in this movie is so awful. This is where it felt like a student film to me.
Right. That's you hear dialogue without any kind of background ambiance or music, and it just sounds so bad.
Yeah, and you can hear the spots where like this is from a different take over here. Like you can hear all that, and it's like at the very least, let's get 45 seconds of room tone and loop it underneath. Okay, so there's just something else, but. It's like, you could on almost every scene, you could lop off 5 seconds off the top and 5 seconds off the end, and you would save yourself like 9 minutes there. So then your movie would be only an hour 42. Actually, wait, was it 156? I think it was 156. Pardon me.
I think
so it would be an hour 47. So, there's that. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's a struggle. I almost didn't finish it.
It's a struggle to make ends meet.
I finished it against my better judgment.
I appreciate that you finished it.
Was that shade to me?
No, it's not. You know
I
what?
was barely,
I'm
in fairness,
kidding.
I was barely paying attention, but for the last 30 minutes.
I would say to you, normally there is only one movie as a professional film critic that I haven't finished, and Evan, of course, knows which one that is.
Well, I don't know.
A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan III.
Oh, it was so bad, that movie.
Yeah. Did you watch the whole thing?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I want to say I did, and I shouldn't have.
I got 40. I got 45 minutes into it, and it was like, fuck this. And it was my feature review that week for the Santa Fe Reporter, and I emailed my editor and was like, I can't finish it, so you're going to get an interview about how I couldn't finish it, or review. He's like, cool.
Bill Murray is so clearly doing a favor for appearing in that movie. It's
Yeah.
so obvious from his performance that he literally is just there as a favor and has no reason or desire or want to be in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
My favorite thing about that is not that it's Charlie Sheen, who is the main character, but that Charlie Sheen is like fucking full tilt. He's committed. And then everybody else in this movie is kind of like,
Phoned in.
come on.
Well-
my cousin wrote this, so I'll do a couple scenes.
This is clearly a film I will never watch. Not for
Yeah.
any of those reasons.
Oh no, it's just so terrible. But anyway,
But for the Charlie Sheen reason.
it might not be. It might. No, Knives and Skin isn't worse than A Glimpse Inside.
Well,
the Mind.
here's
No.
the thing. Here's the thing. I feel like it pains me to say all of these negative things about this film because this is such a low budget film. It's so hard to make a film even when you do have a bigger budget, and it's harder for women filmmakers to get their films budgeted and greenlit, and and it's such it pains me because
Yeah.
I wanted to like this film so much.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to support this film, and I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah, and I want to throw that out there too. I'm not someone who doesn't know movies this is not directed at you, by the way. I know how hard it is to make movies too. I used to work on movies, and part of the reason I don't work on movies anymore is because they're fucking pain in the ass. It's just like, especially if you don't have any money, it's a struggle to do, and it's a struggle to take a piss on the sidewalk because you don't, I cannot describe to you how difficult it is to make low budget movies. Unless you've done it, you would never understand. And people are
Absolutely.
and even $150 million budget movies. Those movies are hard to make too.
Absolutely. And exactly. And that is 100% my point. Like any film is hard to make. It's there's always a ton of work put in. Even on the shittiest films, there was a lot of work put in.
It is kind of amazing how you think to yourself, like, God, not in this movie in particular, but like bad movies. It's like everybody went to work doing the same type of work they would have done on the best movie ever.
Yeah.
And it was just as difficult. And then this is your reward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all Baz Luhrmann films. So I beg your pardon.
I
so-
like a nice little dig.
So anyway, that wasn't a dig at you.
No, not at me, at Baz Luhrmann.
Okay.
No, I didn't think me.
I don't know whether you like his films or not. So I
haven't really
There's
seen
your answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
there you go. So that's a no.
I haven't seen enough of his films
All
to
right,
really.
yeah.
She just trailed off there multiple times.
So anyway, I think we can stick a pin in fucking Knives and Skin.
It gives me no great pleasure to your point, Megan, to say bad things about it.
Me too. I was really looking forward to it, and
it sounded really good on paper. I really wanted it to be good. I really kept watching it, hoping at some point it was gonna get good.
Yeah. And I do want to point out again that I really enjoyed Grace Smith's performance. I thought she was the only one who was like, "Oh, you could actually be an actor someday." I mean, you are, because you're in a movie that is being released, but.
You might go somewhere, kid.
You might have a future in this business there, kid. Now go get me some cigars. Okay, so anyway, so that's for better or worse. That's this week. That's Spoiler Piece Theater this week. We're ending on maybe the worst movie we'll see this year. It's entirely possible.
Oh, yeah.
Can you think of a movie off the top of your head that's worse that you've seen this year?
Oh, God. No, I can, but now, of course, I can't think of it.
Oh, well, okay. Well, think about it and tell us next week. So, anyway, that's Spoiler Piece Theater. The movies we reviewed this week are Atlantics, which Megan would give a qualified please see it to.
Yes.
Qualified?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We qualified.
Well, kind of like, you're like, it's good, but it may not be for you. That's the vibe I got from it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I would say it's good. I mean... Yeah, it's a different pace than what. Sure,
it's like there are Dave movies and there are Evan movies and there are Megan movies. Sounds like a Dave movie, So Queen and Slim, that's a totes go see, right?
I would say definitely go see.
And we're gonna say a big pass on Knives and Skin, which is unfortunate because it has one of the better titles of movies this year.
Yeah.
It does.
So, Knives and Skin.
And a great
right
premise.
up there with Knife and Heart.
Yeah, you see.
Which I also didn't like. I'm sad to say that too.
Yeah, but you see Knives and Skin on a poster, you're like, I'm going to see that fucking movie.
Well, Knife and Heart is knife plus sign heart.
Ooh.
It's true. Just like Romeo plus Juliet.
Yes.
Getting back to Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. Okay, so this is Spoiler Piece Theater. This is the podcast you can find in all places you can get podcasts, which is to say your Spotify's, your iTunes, your blah-blah-blahs. Mm-hmm. So
I'm going to go to blah-blah-blah.
Exactly. That's actually my favorite site. So, but do us a favor when you go to blah-blah-blah.com. Please rate and review us. Give us your highest review, which is, of course, your 5-star review. Thank you very much. Because we would appreciate our Michelin stars. And, if you wanted to get in touch with the show, there are all kinds of ways you can do that. Yep. You can send us an email, spoilerpiece@gmail.com. We would really be interested, by the way, if you have seen Knives and Skin, what you think of it. Because there's got to be somebody out there who's like, these fucking people are stupid. Or Dave is anyway. So
no, but I really want to hear too if there are people who love it or like it. Yeah. I want to hear what they enjoyed about
the movies
it.
That are quote controversial unquote.
I love talking about controversial things.
Yeah. So send us an email at spoilerpiece@gmail.com or give us a call
at 862-21-PEACE
or tweet at us at spoilerpiece, and we're on Instagram at spoilerpiece, and we're pretty much everywhere at spoilerpiece except on Facebook, which is Spoiler Piece Theater, and our website is spoilerpiece.com. And the hosting site is spoilerpiece.libsyn.com. You get the idea. And my name is Dave Riedel. I write for Salt Lake City Weekly, Orlando Weekly, and I'm a member of BAFCA. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd as Dave Sees Movies.
My name is Evan Crean. I am editor for The Independent. I am co-chair of BAFCA and co-author of your 80s movie guide to better living. And you can follow me on Twitter and on Letterboxd as Real Recon.
And I'm Megan Kearns. I'm a freelance writer, editor of Bitchflix, member of BAFCA, and you can find me on Twitter at OpinionSWorld.
And we will see you next week.
Bye.
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 Week. I meant week.